Everybody, JayC here. Welcome to another live stream, a Tuesday edition. Sorry for the delay, but was having difficulties in connecting for some reason. It didn't want to connect, but finally got it. So we are here. So I've got probably a number of things that we can chat about tonight. I wanted to, based on the title, I thought we'd talk about the new Marvel Legends Morph figure and what might come from that. But then also, this week we got the new Thor trailer, so we can probably talk about that. I also wanted to talk a little bit about Powercon this year, and I want to get your thoughts on the convention this year. It's going through some changes. Normally Powercon is the official Masters of the Universe convention, and this year they are going with a more generalized toy convention this year. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about that. Again, I'd just be interested to hear your guys' thoughts, especially. I know a lot of the Masters, diehard Masters of the Universe fans are a little disappointed, but I actually think that the changes that are being made to that convention could work out for the better. But so let us, before we get into any of that, let's see who's online. So I see Everett is definitely online tonight. Everett's been quite busy with his thoughts. Michael's in the house. Yes, I did see the new Thor trailer. I'm sure most people here probably did, and we'll talk about that. Let's see. Mr. B is not going to buy the new Morph figure that cost $28. Doesn't think it looks like the character. Bean is in the house. What's up, Bean? Neil is in the house. Lord Vengar is in the house. Blade Star, what's up? Padre. Hoping beyond hope, we get the whole set of blue gold X-Men. So yeah. So let's just pop over here. By the way, if you still haven't gotten your hands on the High Evolutionary Marvel Legend figure, Amazon right now is selling it for $9.49. So you can click over there to Marvelous News and get a direct link if you want. But let us go over here and take a look at the Morph figure. So I did pre-order one for myself today off Pulse. This is the only one of these X-Men animated series figures that I plan on getting. I was originally going to get like the Wolverine, but then I just decided it wasn't worth it. I've got enough Wolverines, but I definitely want to get Morph. Though, honestly, I would not be surprised if we don't get another Morph down the road without like the animated tinting and everything to it. So I definitely wouldn't be surprised if Hasbro, didn't give us another Morph here eventually. But he's got the jacket. I'm not sure if it looks like the sleeves of the jacket are sculpted on there, so I don't think you can take the jacket off. I mean, you can take this part off, but I don't think, you're going to be stuck with the arms. And then one thing I saw the Hasbro guys mention is the straps here on the legs. They don't move on the figure. They're actually either glued or sculpted on there. I don't know how they did it exactly, but they said they wouldn't move. That's the thing I hated like about the Cyclops figure and many of those figures that have these kind of leg straps is they made them separate pieces. So anytime you touch the figure, these would just slide down to the bottom of the leg. Same with the ones here on the boots. So they apparently have finally fixed that, so that will no longer be an issue. So that's definitely a good thing in my opinion. Now, I believe this is using the Vulcan body. This is using one of the newer bodies. And then, like I said, you get the arms with the coat. Now, the face sculpt might be, I think, kind of a retooled version of the Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. one. Not entirely sure. And you get 2 head sculpts. Now, I know some people are like, well, we should have gotten some like alternate character head sculpts, I feel like, you can just, if you want like him to morph into Cyclops, you can just take the head from your Cyclops figure and stick it on the morph body here, or Wolverine, or whoever you want him to morph into. So I feel like that's not really something that they needed to do. I mean, I assume that most of the heads will fit on this figure. Sometimes they're not always totally compatible, but I'm going to assume that a lot of the heads from other Marvel Legend figures will fit on this figure. And then, of course, will they do, now that we've got this generic X-Men yellow and blue body, will Hasbro end up giving us the other team members that have appeared, whether in the cartoons or the comics? There was a stretch there where the characters were all wearing these outfits. Wolverine, even Gambit. I figure, in their clue that they gave us at the end of the live stream last week, where they showed off that Gambit hand with the playing cards, and they made some indications that this might be a coatless Gambit. I'm thinking this figure, this body without the coat, with a Gambit head, is what they're going to end up giving us. I have no idea how they would, I haven't seen any indications of something like that coming, but it's probably a store exclusive or something. Maybe they'll do the whole X-Men team. I don't know. Ram says he's not a completist when it comes to teams. March bars. I think Cyclops will end up on the Vulcan. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't end up getting another Jim Lee Cyclops at some point using this body, basically. Probably most likely would be as one of the X-Men animated series figures. So, I don't know how far, I don't know how many of these X-Men, VHS packaging, Pulse exclusive figures that they're going to do, but I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing like Cyclops with the same body done in that line. Neil wants to talk about G.I. Joe classified distribution and how terrible it's been. That we haven't any. Well, I mean, it's not just G.I. Joe classified, man. It's a lot of stuff. But yeah, it definitely sucks. I mean, I'm waiting. I got the Spirit, the Storm Shadow, and the Cobra Officer wave from Robot Kingdom, which is an overseas retailer, and it shipped the other week. But right now, it's been sitting in customs since the 15th of this month. So I'm waiting for it to get through customs, and then I should have it in hand. But, that's one of the downsides of, buying stuff from overseas retailers is, things can be slow, things can slow down in customs with individual orders, just like they can with, retail stuff. So, KJ, has anyone found Crocmaster in stores yet? Not very many, if any. Crocmaster I don't think has shown up. I think he got delayed, as with most of the stuff. So, it's just unfortunate, but I think it's just one of those things where there's not anything we can do about it other than wait. It's not as bad if you collect multiple action figure lines, I think. Like for instance, I've gotten a bunch of McFarlane stuff recently because he has been getting stuff out fairly regularly. I did just get, for Marvel Legends, I just got this bad boy from Walgreens. He arrived this week. I haven't opened him yet. Maybe we'll do that tonight, but I just got that one. So some Masters of the Universe stuff. I mean, I still had a fairly regular flow of stuff coming in, but again, I collect multiple action figure lines. So when there's like delays with G.I. Joe, I have other things that I can, focus on. Even though, like I said, G.I. Joe is something I've been eagerly waiting. I've been waiting for that Storm Shadow wave to get here. So hopefully it'll get through customs pretty soon. What's up, Silver Surfer 76? What's up? 3M says he's long given up hope on the G.I. Joe. I mean, like I said, I mean, it sucks when we gotta wait, but I mean, they'll come eventually, and eventually, and probably what will end up happening is eventually, it's like a clogged drain where like it'll slowly drip, or a faucet where the water will slowly drip, and then all of a sudden it's like somebody will pour the Drano in, and it'll clear it up, and then all of a sudden it'll just gush, and like we'll get wave after wave, back to back to back to back. So if you've pre-ordered stuff, you might want to make sure that you've kind of amply prepared your wallet for if that happens. So what's up, Rodney? KJ says he sees all those crappy movie Snake Eyes figures sitting around. Yep, the movie stuff is definitely what warming pegs. But I finally watched the Snake Eyes movie this weekend. It was on Paramount Plus, so I was able to watch it for free. So I finally sat down and watched it. So I got to be honest, it's just a generic ninja fighting karate type movie. I didn't think it was too bad. As a G.I. Joe movie, I thought it was horrible. There was nothing about any of those characters that remotely struck me as G.I. Joe other than their names. Scarlet and Baroness, maybe a little bit, at least with their looks. But, I mean, we didn't really get enough about those characters to really say. But, like, Snake Eyes, I mean, I don't care about the actor they cast, and I thought he did a decent job acting-wise, but, I mean, there's just nothing about that version of Snake Eyes that's remotely anything like the source material. And when I say source material, I'm talking primarily of the original Marvel Comics run, written by Larry Hama, which, of course, I noticed he had a brief, 2-second cameo in the movie. He was walking down one of the alleys there in the rain. And, I remember he was like telling people how this was going to be such a good movie. And I feel like, I mean, maybe he truly thought that, I don't know. But I felt like, the writers of this movie just kind of shit all over his work. So, I mean, I don't know if he was saying that because he had the cameo in the movie or what. But I felt like, I don't know why they're so afraid when it comes to G.I. Joe of sticking close to the source material. I don't necessarily expect it to be 100%. I mean, I can even understand, maybe updating it from like the Vietnam War to like maybe the, Afghanistan War, or Iraq War or something like that. I'm making some slight changes here and there, but I mean, this Snake Eyes and this Storm Shadow in this movie were nothing like the comic. So I felt like, again, it's a generic karate movie, watching it for free, I didn't think it was too bad, but as a G.I. Joe movie, it just was not very good. And then like what was like the magic crystal thing that you just looked at people and they blew up or something? I mean, what the hell was that? Am I gonna go see the animated movie in the theater? I don't know. I've never seen it in the movie theater before. It might be worth. I have to look and see where it's playing around here. It's only playing on 2 days, so I don't know. I'm undecided on that. I'm tempted, but I don't know for sure. But it's cool. The movie finally gets its debut on the big screen. I mean, that movie went straight back in the 80s. It went straight to home release on VHS. I remember renting it. I remember when it first came out, renting it at the video store, and then shortly after that, it ended up getting played on, in syndication with the regular G.I. Joe cartoon. They broke it up into 5 parts and essentially ran it as a 5-part miniseries like they had done previously. So, but it never got its day on the big screen thanks to Transformers and Optimus Prime. Apparently, which I love that movie, the animated Transformers movie. I saw that in the movie theater. It was fantastic. Spike saying the word shit I remember to this day being like, oh my God, he said the word shit. I was a young kid, not super young, but I was like, early teens, maybe 12, 13, something like that, when that movie came out in movie theaters. But so it didn't traumatize me like I guess it did some kids when Optimus Prime got killed. I had some tears come in my eyes. I probably teared up a bit when he died, but I certainly wasn't traumatized. But apparently, according to, the film creators and Hasbro and everybody, it traumatized so many kids when they killed off Optimus Prime that they had to remove Duke being killed, because originally Duke was going to be killed in the G.I. Joe movie. So they had to change that. And then because Transformers did so poorly at the box office, it was not a box office success. So it did so poorly that G.I. Joe ended up having to go straight to home release. And I like the G.I. Joe movie too, believe it or not. I mean, Cobra Law I always thought was kind of weird and kind of far out there, but I like the overall movie. Obviously, when people think of that movie, they think of the opening credit scene where, the battle at New York, which is, an awesome opening. But even beyond that, the animation I thought was really good, with that opening scene with the Terradrome when Pythona sneaks into the Terradrome to try and get to Serpentor. That's a great scene. And so it's just all around, I like that movie. So yeah, I don't know if I'll go see it in the big screen, but it's certainly possible. I'm still debating on whether I want to go see Top Gun this weekend. 3M. Yeah, yeah. Not only that, but then he like screwed Ultra Magnus. Like not only did he basically get Optimus Prime killed, but then because I always felt like because he was the first one to touch the Matrix, that's why he became the leader. When Optimus drops it and Hot Rod, grabs it, keeps it from hitting the ground. But when he touched it, it was like, bam, you're now the leader of the Autobots. Whereas if Ultra Magnus had just been the first one to actually grab it like he was supposed to, he would have ended up being the leader of the Autobots, and we wouldn't have had to dealt with whiny ass Rodimus Prime. But Lord Venger says, what was the animated Joe movie where Bazooka gets killed? It was, maybe it was Renegade. I don't remember Bazooka getting killed, but Renegade's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head where maybe that happened. Jerry says Megatron blasting Ironhide's head was traumatizing. And I was like, oh my God, if the Autobots had been so easily to be killed like that, why did it take Megatron so freaking long to actually, kill them? It was like, boom, 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 you're all dead. Anytime in the cartoon they get hit like 20 times and they're like, Ratchet, fix me up, and they're fine. But like in that movie, it was like, boom, 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 they're all dead. Or Resolute, that's what I meant. Yeah, Resolute. I didn't like the story of Resolute. I thought the animation in Resolute was really good, but and I've only watched it like once, so it's been a long time, but I didn't think the story flowed very well. What's up, Mr. Bush? I mean, I would, I'm not gonna lie. When Prime's on the table and he turns gray, I definitely like more than once. Like I could probably go watch that movie now and I'd still tear up a little bit. But it wasn't like it wasn't like, oh my God, they killed Optimus Prime. How could they do that? I mean, I wasn't like that. Maybe it's because I knew they were gonna end up bringing him back to life, which of course they did at the end of the next season. Which Which I like that episode. The season 3 episode where Optimus Prime comes back to life. Well, they bring him back to life, and then he kind of like he goes crazy. But then they bring him back for good at the end of that season, where like that disease, like anybody gets touched and they go mad or something, and they have to paint themselves in gold or something like that. And the Transformers movie I really loved, but I really did not like that season after the Transformers movie because I hated Galvatron. I love Galvatron in the movie, but I hated how crazy they made Galvatron in the regular cartoon after the movie. I didn't mind him being a little bit crazy, but I just they went too far and they just made him too idiotic. So that was Rodimus bothered me a little bit, but it was actually the way they portrayed Galvatron in the regular cartoon episodes after the movie that I hated the most about Transformers. You know, Again, in the movie itself, I loved Galvatron and I thought they did a great job. Leonard Nimoy voicing Galvatron was awesome, but afterwards, and it wasn't necessarily the voice, it's just they made him so crazy and make so stupid, like he just starts like shooting people for no reason and stuff. I mean, I just didn't like that. I ended up getting a third party Galvatron for my masterpiece collection because I'm not sure they're ever going to do Galvatron for the masterpiece line. It'd be great if they did, but I forget which company did it, but I ended up I bought some Decepticon decals and I stuck it on. I bought a third party Galvatron and I stuck it on there. So I have a Galvatron from my masterpiece collection. It's one of the few I don't usually buy third party stuff. Galvatron and Reflector are the only two third party Transformers I have. But um, again, with Reflector, I didn't think we were ever going to get an official one. So, well, not the series. I'm talking about the season. There was a season of the Transformers cartoon after the movie, season 3, and then there was the Headmaster miniseries after that. But oh, and then they tried doing Transformers Generation 2, which in the comics they actually did new stories and stuff, which actually had a lot of G.I. Joe in it. But the cartoon, the Generation 2 cartoon, they just took the original G1 cartoon and they put in these stupid effects that were really annoying. They got really annoying and called it Generation 2. Oh, the movie master, like from the Michael Bay movies. Yeah, I cannot stand the Bayverse designs. I like the first Transformers Michael Bay movie, but I hate all of the designs of those characters. I have never bought a movie toy from, the live action movies. Well, I think there was a whole like season of Headmasters overseas, but here in the US we only got like I think it was a 3-part maybe it was, yeah, I think it was only 3 episodes, like with Scorponox and like I've never watched any of the G1 overseas stuff, so I've never seen any of those. Chuck says he liked Megan Fox. Yeah, I liked the movie, the first Michael Bay Transformers movie. I thought that was pretty good. I've always hated the designs, but the movie itself I thought was pretty good. Everything after that first one was crap, but I did like the first live action Transformers movie. Dre says he likes the G.I. Joe cartoon was the best. So many interesting episodes like Shipwreck getting gaslighted and the fake town, Dusty's family. I agree, though. I always like the 5-part miniseries the best. Those I've watched many times. The individual episodes, you're right. There's definitely some good individual episodes in the series, but I always, the Pyramid of Darkness, the Mass Device, the Weather Dominator, those are my favorite. Even Arise, Serpentor Arise, I thought was pretty good. Yeah, Lord Vanguard, you're right. The Transformers movie has been in the theaters a couple times, but as far as I know of, the G.I. Joe movie has never been on the big screen. Or what about the G.I. Joe two-parter where they kind of created their own multiverse where they go into that alternate universe where Cobra rules the world? That was a good one. I mean, the honest to God truth, both Transformers and G.I. Joe, the thing that made those cartoons so good was the voice actors. Every character had an individual personality. And even though some of the characters were voiced by the same people, you never knew it, when you were watching it as a kid. You never knew that, like, the same guy voicing Optimus was also voicing some of the other characters, or Megatron, so on and so forth. Even like Starscream. I mean, and nobody has done Starscream justice since the original G1 cartoon. Same thing with Cobra Commander. I mean, the actor who played him, who passed away unfortunately, he just did an amazing job with both of those characters. Yeah, yeah, which I wait. Bumblebee. I didn't go to the theater and watch Bumblebee. I watched it on home release. It was okay, but it wasn't like. I mean, it was better than some of the other Transformer movies, but I didn't think it was fantastic. Yep, Chris Latta. He was an awesome voice actor. Coco, was there ever a Joe and Transformers crossover? Not in the cartoons or movies or anything. In the comic books, yes, but I take that back. There were some kind of slight crossover. So like Cobra Commander actually appeared in one of the Transformer episodes of season 3, and then Flint's daughter was also in the Transformers cartoon. So so yes, there was some slight crossover between the two, but but not like in the comics where yeah, season 3 had Cobra Commander. He didn't call himself Cobra Commander, so they never fish. You had to infer that it was Cobra Commander. It was voiced by the same actor, and I think his name was Snake or something. So there were like some slight references. So we all who watched both GI Joe and Transformers knew it was supposed to be Cobra Commander, but they never specifically called him out as Cobra Commander. Same thing with Flint's daughter. She had and Lady J's daughter, the same last name, Fairborn, but I don't think ever came out and said, my father was Flint from the G.I. Joe team. So, yeah, Old Snake, that's what they called him, right? He was like an arms dealer or something like that. Yep, that was Flint's daughter in the 3rd season of the Transformers cartoon. Now, I don't think there was ever any Transformer references in the G.I. Joe cartoon, so the crossover was only one way, but Oh yeah, I guess they did. And yeah, and he like coughs like he's Cobra. Yeah. In the comics, in the Transformers Generation 2 comics that was done by Marvel, and then there was big crossovers between that and the GI Joe comic book series itself. So like Megatron actually gets converted. If you ever wanted to know how Megatron goes from being a gun to a green tank, it was actually Cobra who did that. So in the comics, they've had, over the years they've had various different crossover type things, but in the original Marvel comic run, they had a heavy crossover between the two. Chuck says Baron Zemo from Zavi. So some of you have asked me about like is Baron Zemo going to be offered at places like Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth? I think Dorkside maybe had Baron Zemo, was offering Baron Zemo at least for a bit. Um, I've been doing some checking on that, and right now it looks like it's up in the air. But I do think there's probably a pretty good possibility that you'll see here in the fairly near future places like Entertainment Earth and Big Bad Toy Store carrying the Baron Zemo figure. Again, not 100%, but it looks like I'm going to say there's probably a decent chance that we might be seeing that. So if you haven't gotten Baron Zemo from Walgreens yet, or one of the overseas places, then you might have another shot at him. I don't know if that means like every one of these Walgreens exclusives will end up getting released other places. I don't know exactly why we're seeing so many of the Hasbro exclusives end up now getting offered at other places, but Audrey, well, Dr. Mindbender is not rumored. Hasbro showed off a digital render of Dr. Mindbender, not in the last live stream, but the one before that. Now, images of what looks like some type of specially packaged deluxe Dr. Mindbender showed up online, and we don't know exactly how that one's going to be released. My guess is that's going to be this year's summer convention exclusive for G.I. Joe, or, Hasbro Pulse exclusive for G.I. Joe. But I also think there's going to be just a regular release of Dr. Mindbender in the line. So, but Dr. Mindbender is 100% coming. He's not rumored. Hasbro has confirmed that there is going to be a Dr. Mindbender figure. They just haven't said, if there's going to be two versions, and they haven't said exactly how either one is going to be released. As far as Serpentor goes, I have no idea. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't end up getting Serpentor at some point. Hopefully, if we get Serpentor, we'll also get his air chariot, but Serpentor, I don't know. Neil, thoughts on what Ramen Toys is doing? You have to be a little more specific in regards to Silverhawks, in regards to those knockoff um, 80s commander figures that they call it, which are basically knockoffs of Centurions. Big Bad Toy Store has Rhino in stock, so if you're wanting that retro cardback Rhino, Big Bad Toy Store has them available. Well, that's Baron Zemo's father, but yeah, uh, Toy Biz gave us that version back in the day, but Hasbro hasn't yet. Oh, I haven't seen anything about Mass coming from Raymond Toys. If they've shown something from Mass, that's new to me. But Silverhawks is an officially licensed product from Super 7. So, and I actually kind of like their Silverhawks figures better than the Super 7 Ultimates one. I've never been big into Silverhawks, so I don't know if I'd get either one. But if I had to choose between the Ramen Toy ones, which is more expensive, even more expensive than Super 7, but if I had to choose between the Ramen Toys or the Super 7 Ultimate Silverhawks, I'd probably go with the Ramen Toys ones. Now, the Centurions, those, I'm not big into third party, non licensed product. I view, that's taking money out of whoever owns that license. That's basically taking money out of somebody's pocket. So I feel like there's a little bit of, it's not, I'm not a big fan of third party stuff. So I haven't really looked that closely at the Centurion stuff since it's not officially licensed. And then again, if they're doing Mask, did they say that? Have they shown something? I haven't seen anything about Mask. And I assume if they've said they're doing something, are we talking about another third part or another bootleg type deal or something officially licensed? Spidey Sammy stop motion Oasis. The Bay Transformer movies were shot in my hometown of Detroit, Michigan, so I have a soft spot for them. Then again, I didn't grow up with the cartoon and the. So funny you mentioned that because I forget which one it was, but one of the Transformer movies was actually a lot of it was filmed here where I live in Washington D.C. So I actually went down to when they were filming that one, and I watched some of it, and there was actually they ended up having an accident because they were filming on one of the streets in Washington D.C. and I guess an emergency call came through, and so these emergency like a cop car, so an actual real cop car ended up hitting. I think it was like Bumblebee. It wasn't the Bumblebee movie. I think it was like Transformers 2. I think it was the second Transformers movie that was filmed. A lot of it was filmed in DC. But they actually had a real accident where I guess communications got screwed up or something, and these cop cars, these real cop cars, ended up driving through where they were filming, and one of the cop cars ended up hitting one of the movie cars. Well, if it's not officially licensed, it's a bootleg. If they, you can't have it both ways because somebody owns that license. And so if somebody's making product for that license and they didn't pay the licensing fee for it, it's a bootleg. So you can't have it both ways. Bootleg doesn't necessarily mean crappy quality. It just means that they didn't go and pay the licensing fee to whoever has that licensing fee, which with Mask, I believe it's Hasbro. But being they're overseas, it's probably hard for, and there's a lot of like loopholes that can be found with some of this stuff. So that's usually why, you don't see that stuff shut down. But technically, if it's not licensed, if it's looks like Matt Track, and the mass vehicles and everything, but they're calling it something else, it's a bootleg. It means they didn't go and actually pay for the licensing fee to whoever actually owns the license for that property to get permission to actually make products based on that property. And it happens all the time in the toy industry, especially from overseas companies, where it's harder to kind of enforce the copyrights and stuff. But it is bootleg. I mean, and the real downside to that is so with the Ramen Toys stuff, like the Silverhawk stuff, you can go to Big Bad Toy Store or other reputable e-tailers and you can pre-order those figures directly from Big Bad Toy Store. Whereas the non-licensed stuff, most retailers are not going to touch that stuff. So your only way to get it is to like order directly from the overseas company. So if for whatever reason they don't deliver, you're not going to have much recourse in getting your money back. So you're taking a risk when you do that. I'm not saying that Ramen Toys won't deliver, but I'm saying there is some risk to you there that if they didn't deliver, being they're an overseas company and everything, you're not going to have much recourse in getting your money back. I mean, my view on that stuff is I don't usually buy third party stuff like that. Again, I have bought two Transformers, which or two that I really just don't think we're going to get official versions of. But in general, I don't buy third party stuff like that. I'm also not so like I'm not. Oh my God! How dare you buy a third party? That's stealing. Don't do that. I'm not gonna sit there and say that. To me, it's up to the actual license holder if they want to try and enforce their copyrights to put an end to that stuff. It's up to them. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to buy a third party item or what have you. But for me personally, I generally stay away from third party stuff. Because I just feel like there is some dishonesty there. Because I feel like, like there's a company making a third party Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle van. Okay. Now I don't know how I don't even know the name of the company that's doing it, but I've seen some other people, touting it and stuff. So it's probably cheaper because that company is not paying a licensing fee to Nickelodeon, like say NECA and Super 7 are. They have to actually pay Nickelodeon, who owns the license for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, to be able to make Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys. So it's not really fair to those companies that have gone the legal route, the correct route to be able to bring us turtle vans, to then go to this company that basically said, screw all that. I'm just going to throw out my own and hopefully I can stay under the wire and not get, busted. But I feel like, it's just, it's not really something I personally like to support. Hey, Chuck, Hasbro makes a classified Matt Tracker. He's G.I. Joe. Well, they did it for the 3 3/4 inch line, so it certainly could be. I mean, Hasbro has the license to mask, so they can make mask toys if they want to. And if we ever get a mask movie, like there have been rumblings of such a thing in the works, if we ever get that, I think we will see a resurgence of mask toys. But I think without the movie, there's just not enough retail support for Hasbro to do it. So I don't think we will see until, or if we get a movie, I don't think we'll see a mass toy line. But Hasbro, I'm about 99% sure, is the one that has the license for mask. So yes, just like they did in the 3 3/4 inch line, they could probably throw out a classified 6 inch Matt Tracker figure if they wanted to. Yeah, there's three companies, two making officially licensed turtle vans, and then a third company making an unlicensed turtle van. It's crazy. Jerry says he prefers GoBots to Transformers. You were one of the few because Transformers kicked GoBots' ass in the 80s, but I had a couple of GoBots. I had Leader. I still have my original Leader 1. And then I think I had one or two others, but I never really got into GoBots. The cartoon was on at a weird time. It was on late in the morning, so normally, unless I was homesick from school, it would come on after I'd already left for school. So I didn't get a chance to watch GoBots as much. I don't know why it was on at such a weird time, but it was syndicated, so where I lived, it just happened to be on at a really weird time. And then I got a few of those. That there was a company here recently that was making GoBot figures, um, and I picked up some of those. Those weren't too bad. The GoBots were weird because you had like most of the GoBots were like this size. Like my Leader 1 is only this tall, But then you had like those super GoBots that were like this size, but they look really crappy. They look like, they had like the roof of the car was like their head and stuff. It was like, I don't know. And then you had a couple of vehicles. You had the transport ship that they had. So I don't know. GoBots was really weird. Crasher, that was the female bad guy, right? And then there was Scooter. He was the token annoying character. Like every show had one, and Scooter was like the annoying character for GoBots. I like Psykill. Psykill was I he had a really cool voice. I have an older sister, so I didn't really have to share my toys with her. She had her own toys, which were like Barbie and stuff. So I would sneak into her room when I was a little kid and mess with her Barbies, but no, I didn't have to share my kids with or my toys with anybody. My sister always got annoyed because I'd always like go and sneak into her room and screw with her stuff. So anyway, I want to talk about getting back to. Wait, again, a second donation. Thank you, my friend. Hoping Hasbro will give us more Fox X-Men figures. Well, I mean, yeah, that X-Men animated series line is going to continue. So I don't know exactly how many they're going to do, unless you mean like characters we've never gotten before from the X-Men cartoon. But that's possible as well. But definitely more of those X-Men animated series VHS figures will be coming. Most of them I think are just going to be repaints of existing figures, but stealing isn't stealing because you get caught. Stealing is I agree with you. That's not what I said was I'm not going to sit here and preach to you not to buy a third party. It's up to the license holder to try and crack down on those. So I'm not going to play internet police and tell you not to buy a third party. I only speak for myself and say I tend to stay away from third party stuff because I feel that way. So, but you're right. Stealing is stealing whether you get caught or not. But most of the places where you see the bootleg stuff is from overseas companies where, it's much harder for like a Hasbro to try and crack down on it, especially with a license like Transformers where it's split. Hasbro is not the sole owner of Transformers. They share it with Takara, so that makes it even more complicated. So, third party, bootleg, whatever you want to call them, is nothing new in the industry. They've been around for as long as most of these properties have. Back when I was a kid, there was companies making third party Transformers. I remember buying at a gas station a bootleg version of Starscream, basically, because Starscream was so popular that I had never found the actual Hasbro one. So I ended up buying this bootleg one. And I bought it at a gas station. But usually the companies that make that stuff, usually they don't sell direct these days, at least they don't sell directly in the United States. And the reason why they're harder to catch is because they usually come from these overseas companies where it's much more difficult to crack down on like the copyright infringement type stuff. So, but I'm not saying because you're not getting caught it's okay to do it. Oh, Fox. When you mean the movie stuff, okay, my bad. I thought you were talking about the cartoon. I was thinking Fox animated X-Men animated series, but yeah, the Fox movie stuff. I don't know. Maybe most of those X-Men movie figures they did not too long ago, those seem to end up on the discount aisle, so I don't know how well they sold. And then, unless they end up appearing in the MCU, I don't know if there's much chance Hasbro's going to go and do them. So, like, you know, could I see them doing a Multiverse of Madness, Professor Xavier? Probably. I could definitely see them doing that. But are they going to go back and do, some of the other characters like Beast, Kelsey Grammer Beast? That I would say would be more unlikely. Yeah. So Powercon. So what are your guys' thoughts on Powercon? Does it bother you that it's no longer going to be just a Masters of the Universe convention? Again, they're basically shooting to make it a generalized toy convention, not toy show per se. Because to me, a toy show is where you just get like a bunch of vendors, gather under one roof and then they sell, merchandise. Usually it's local vendors or fairly local vendors and they get together and they sell stuff. So that's a little bit, I'm not talking about a toy show, but a toy convention is where you have panels, you have, guests, things like that. So, toy companies that hopefully are coming to reveal new products, things like that. So I feel like Powercon is trying to become the ultimate toy convention, where all the different companies will start coming to and kind of reveal, kind of like a toy fair. The toy fair is not open to the public. The toy fair is, only open to the industry and the media. So kind of like a toy fair, but open to the public. Yeah, so right now, Four Horsemen are going to be at PowerCon. NECA Toys will be at PowerCon this year, and PowerCon this year is going to be in Columbus, Ohio. If you're not familiar, it takes place in August. So normally it's out in California, where Mattel is located. Mattel's headquartered out in California. So normally PowerCon takes place near Mattel because Mattel used to attend the PowerCon convention. I don't think Mattel is going to be attending PowerCon this year. I think Mattel might end up coming back to PowerCon later down the road, but right now, I don't think you're going to see Mattel there. But Four Horsemen are going to be there. NECA Toys is going to be there. The Nacelle Company, which is making those RoboForce figures, Sectorus. They just announced figures based on comedians this week. So they're the ones that made the Toys That Made Us that is on Netflix. So they've started making action figures and stuff. Let's see who else is going to be there. Tweeterhead, which is a statue company, they're going to be there. Trying to think who else has been announced. Um, a few other smaller companies are going to be. I don't think Super 7 has announced that they're going to be there, but I wouldn't be surprised if Super 7 ended up going there. PowerCon's in August. I don't have the exact date. I want to say like August 7th or something, but it's in August. But I feel like eventually, if they built up where they could get like all the toy companies to come and show off products, so not just small ones, but like Hasbro, Mattel, Jazzwares, uh, Diamond Select Toys, Mezco, NECA, which of course, like I said, will be there this year. Um, if they could create a convention open to the public where they can attract all these companies to come and display, have exclusives and stuff. Essentially a San Diego Comic-Con type convention, but focused just around toys, or the primary focus, I should say, is toys as opposed to comics or movies. I feel like that would be a pretty cool thing for the hobby to have if somebody could actually pull that off and create that. I don't know if they can. I don't know if the hobby's big enough to support something like that. I don't know if they can get enough support from the toy companies, the toy manufacturers to be able to pull that off. But to me, I feel like that's a better goal for a convention than just being a Masters of the Universe only convention. Now, and the other thing to keep in mind, I mean, it's not like they aren't going to have Masters of the Universe stuff there. Again, I don't think Mattel is going to be there. So probably the biggest difference this year is you're not going to see Mattel showing off new Masters of the Universe product there this year, which I agree, that's disappointing. But like if there was like specific like cosplay or individual creators or things like that related to Masters of the Universe, like I think they're going to have some designers there, some artists that worked on Masters of the Universe, things like that. So if that's the type of stuff that you're interested in, I think there will still be that kind of stuff for Masters of the Universe. But it's just besides that, there's also going to be other toy companies that will have a presence there with other brands. So like NECA with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and all the other stuff that they do, and Four Horsemen with their Mythic Legions line and things like that. So it just to me is more again, if they are able to pull it off. Now, this year being the first year where they're kind of moving away from Masters of the Universe, I definitely feel like this year is going to be a transition year. But I feel like this is when they need support the most. So to try and make that happen. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, if you don't live near Columbus, Ohio, I wouldn't advocate you traveling across the country at this point to go to a convention like this. But, if it's something fairly, possibly near you, it might be something you want to check out, because I do feel like, what they're trying to accomplish is actually a good thing. And I totally get, if you're a diehard Masters of the Universe fan, being a little bummed that they're kind of moving away from that as solely, but I feel like overall it's probably a better thing. Yeah, August 5th and the 7th in Columbus, Ohio. And it's funny because I was just in Columbus, Ohio about a month ago. My wife has some relatives that live out there in Columbus, so I was actually there not too long. College town, Ohio State. So that's probably, I would say, one of the biggest things it's got going for it. Yeah, I agree. And like I said, I mean, we have San Diego Comic Con, we have New York Comic Con, but those are comic conventions that have some toy, involvement in it. But to me, I feel like if somebody could create essentially a San Diego Comic Con like convention, but being toy centric, I feel like that would be a really cool thing to see happen. And it's Columbus, Ohio is probably it's drivable for me. It's about like a 7 hour drive, but I may end up going this year. So I've never actually personally been to a PowerCon convention. We cover it every year. I know, Val Staples, who also runs He-Man.org. He's the one that behind the convention. So I know him, he's a pretty good guy. But this, if and not 100%, but this might be the first year I actually attend PowerCon. Power Turtle Busters. Just Google PowerCon and their website should come up, and just go to their website, and it should give you all the details on how you can go. How you can buy tickets. Exactly where it's located, things like that. Hotel information if you live far enough where you need a hotel. Coco, I don't think we're getting a San Diego Shumagorath exclusive for Marvel Legends. I think the Marvel Legend exclusive this year is that Mojo box set. And I honestly am not sure Hasbro is going to be at San Diego Comic Con this year. Or if they are, I don't think they're going to have a major presence. I've not seen any indication. And when you listen to them talk about the Mojo box set, they said it was the summer exclusive, but then they essentially said it was for PulseCon. I mean, it's not really either convention because the thing's not going to release until December. So nobody's going to actually have it in hand until December. That's the other thing with the exclusives this year is, no, there are no exclusives from like these major toy companies to have in hand come these summer conventions. Everything is pre-order. Even like if you look just today, they showed off that Star Wars Black Series figure of Jon Favreau in the Mandalorian Heavy Gunner. Basically they took the Heavy Gunner figure and stuck the Favreau head on it. But that's kind of being dubbed a Celebration, which is this week. Star Wars Celebration takes place this week, so they've kind of dubbed that a Star Wars Celebration exclusive. But really all that means is the people at Celebration this week will have first crack at pre-ordering it. So but that figure is, again, it's not going to be out until December. So it's not like if you're going to Star Wars Celebration this week, you're going to be able to buy that figure if you want it. You can just pre-order. And then I think everybody will be able to pre-order eventually, probably on Hasbro Pulse or something. So, this year at least, because I think, a lot of companies are up in the air about what at conventions or if any they're going to attend this year, because there's been so much, is COVID going to be an issue again? Is, all these, kind of unanswered questions. And so I think a lot of toy companies, I feel like, I can't say this for sure, but I feel like Hasbro's decision to attend Celebration this week was like a last minute decision. I feel like they just kind of made that at the last minute. And probably because Disney probably wanted them there. Obviously that's the official Star Wars convention. And as the major toy license holder for Star Wars, Disney probably wanted Hasbro to have a presence at that convention. But again, that's just my speculation. But yeah, Star Wars Celebration starts this week. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I think. Maybe even start tomorrow night. I forget. I think they might have like a preview night or something tomorrow. All right, well, everybody's getting kind of quiet here. All right, so let's switch gears. Let's talk Thor trailer. So who saw the Thor trailer yesterday? Yesterday. No, it was Monday. That was yesterday. Sorry, I lose track of the date. So yeah, Thor trailer last night. What are your guys' thoughts? It looked lighthearted. It looked fairly, it definitely, I feel like it's going to have the same kind of tone as Thor Ragnarok did. Very comedic type tone to it, which I like Thor Ragnarok, but I did feel like the comedic tone was a little bit over the top at times in the movie. So I do have a little bit of concern that maybe we're going to have the same thing with this one, but Coco says he won't give up hope on Shumagorath. So here's my question on Shumagorath. If Hasbro did a Shumagorath, if they did a Marvel versus Capcom version, which basically translates to he's not huge, he's about the same size as a normal human being, would that be cool? Or if they did it, he's got to be like big and huge and giant? Because when I think of Shumagorath, my first thought always goes back to the Marvel vs. Capcom game. That's where I first saw that character, is in that video game. So that's where where my mind always goes to when I think of that character. Power Turtles. Too bad Super 7 didn't get the license to Earthworm Jim. I heard the company doing those figures are questionable. So, yeah, that's probably a fair assessment. However, if you like the figures from Premium DNA, my recommendation is pre-order them from Big Bad Toy Store. They do have them available for pre-order now. And that way, if for whatever reason the figures didn't happen, you don't have to worry about losing your money. Big Bad Toy Store will just refund your money if for some reason Premium DNA didn't deliver them. So and the figures look pretty good. I got to admit. So, um, if you're really big into Earthworm Jim and you like those figures, that's my recommendation. You can pre-order them directly from Premium DNA, but I do feel like based on past happenings, that could be a little riskier. So if Hasbro did Shumagorath, they would probably reuse parts from the Lightning collection I got. Yeah, maybe. To me, Shumagorath would be kind of hard, not necessarily even the size, but just like I have a feeling that possibly safety regulations would prevent them from using like bendy wire in the tentacles, which is why we don't get bendy wire with like the Doc Ock figure and stuff. But then if you did like just hard plastic tentacles with articulation, I don't think that would look very good and probably not be able to do much with it. So I feel like the better route, if they do Shumagorath, would be the smaller type version like we see in the Capcom game. I feel like a large version would be very difficult to pull off. Unless you just wanted a static figure with like maybe a moving eyeball. If you would be if you were happy with that, then they could probably do it. Make the eyeball articulated so you can move the eyeball around, but basically the arms be just like solid rubber pieces or something. I could see them doing that, but if you want actual usable tentacles, then I feel like it becomes much more difficult. John says the Mission Impossible trailer got him excited. I, I'm not. The only thing I liked about that trailer, and I mean, granted, really didn't show us much, but I did. It was interesting that they brought Kettridge back from the first movie. I really liked the first Mission Impossible movie. I don't hate any of the others. The second one got a little bit too Tom Cruisey for me, but the first one to me is the best of all the Mission Impossible movies. So I was a little bit curious to see what they're going to do with Kettridge coming back, but I don't know. I feel like that's one of the franchises that have kind of been overplayed. It's like each movie, it's like, what can we do to outtop our stunts and special effects from the last one? And that's what the movie ends up becoming about, is how can they outdo the one before it? And I don't know. Probably that's more appealing to a younger crowd, but again, to me, the first movie, which is the most different of all the Mission Impossible movies, was the best. God, that movie came out. I was in like that first one came. I can't remember if I was in college or high school when that first one came out, but that one was a long time ago. Yeah, I saw it was a two-parter because they're calling this one part one. So I kind of figured that maybe they're going to end the franchise after this. And I mean, I got to figure Tom Cruise is getting up there in age, so him pulling off these high action oriented movies is probably becoming less and less feasible for him. Well, they're doing that build a figure Starro, so we'll see how that comes out. But I feel like the tentacles on that are not going to be terribly usable. I have the Superman figure, but I haven't actually opened it. And then they just showed off today a preview of the Lois Lane from Earth 3, the super the Superwoman. CM Brock says, "Say what you will about Tom, but he's a hell of an actor." I give you that. I give you that. I mean, I probably like more Tom Cruise movies than I dislike. So I will give you that. Tom Cruise is one of those where I feel like in real life, and I can't say this honestly one way or the other because it's not like I know him, but I feel like he comes off like he's kind of an asshole in real life. But I honestly, there's a lot of actors out there who I feel like in real life are assholes. And, that doesn't mean I still can't enjoy their work on the screen. And Tom Cruise, whether he's an asshole in real life or not, he definitely has put out quite a few good movies over the years. Power Turtles Buster. You've never seen a single Tom Cruise movie. Oh, come on, man. You definitely didn't grow up in the 80s then if you haven't seen a single Tom Cruise movie. I mean, I want to say I don't know if it was his first movie, but his first probably most notable movie was Risky Business, which I was like a young kid when that movie came out. I think there was one before that where he was in a military academy. I forget the name of that one, but I think that one came out before Risky Business. But and I mean, I love Top Gun. I I feel like they dissed Kelly McGuire, or that's not her name, the actress from the first Top Gun movie, because she got overweight, and so they didn't want to bring her back for the second one, so they replaced her. So I felt like that was kind of a diss move, but yeah, I've heard pretty good things about the new Top Gun movie, so I'm definitely thinking about checking that out this weekend. Kelly McGillis. Tom Cruise wasn't an Officer and a Gentleman. That was uh Richard Gere. Richard Gere was an Officer and a Gentleman. Taps. Yeah, I think that was it. Taps was with Tom Cruise. And I think that might have been like his first movie. Val Kilmer also got old and fat, weird looking. They brought him back. Well, Val Kilmer can't even barely talk because he's been battling cancer for a good number of years, recent years. There's actually a documentary he did. I think it's on Amazon Prime. It's worth checking out. But he has a hole in his throat because he had lung cancer, and so I know he's in this movie, but it cannot be any kind of major role. It's got to be just like some type of brief cameo. I know they show his picture on the wall. I got to assume he's in it. Maybe more like he actually shows up himself. But he actually, he really can't act or do anything because he can barely talk because of his battle with lung cancer. So um, and Val Kilmer again was kind of one of those actors that developed a reputation of being kind of an asshole, but he put out some pretty good movies. Now, Tom or Val Kilmer was always usually more in a supporting role. Even like if you look at like the Batman movie, I mean, it was the villains in Batman that made that movie. Tommy Lee Jones and um, Jim Carrey. So even though he played Batman in that movie, I feel like the bad guys really had more of the forefront. And Tombstone, that is a fantastic movie, but he played a supporting role in that movie. Um, but Val Kilmer, I mean, yeah, he's a pretty good actor overall. But again, you know, his health has deteriorated in recent years. What's up, Devon? I liked when it originally came out. I really liked that movie. I love the soundtrack of that movie. Um, Even today, I still love the soundtrack of that movie. there were things like I recently went back to try and rewatch it, and there were definitely, oh my god, this looks horrible. Like a lot of the special effects just look really bad. But I definitely, back when that movie first came out, I did actually really like that movie. I would even say that I like it better than the second movie, the second, with Danny DeVito and Michelle Pfeiffer. I was not a huge fan of that movie. I mean, Michael Keaton will always still be the one and only Batman just because of the first Batman with Jack Nicholson, but I did not like the second Michael Keaton movie that much. Now, George Clooney's Batman was the most horrible Batman ever, and I don't know if all of that's George Clooney's fault, but that last movie was just terrible. Yeah, I like both Tommy Lee Jones as Two Face and Jim Carrey as the Riddler. I thought they both did a pretty good job. Jim Morrison, that was another, yeah, and he did have the lead. That was his movie. That was definitely a good one. I want to say Val Kilmer's first movie was I forget the name of it. I think it was a Disney movie. Real Genius, I think is what it was called. But I think that was his first major movie, was Real Genius. And again, he was playing a supporting character, but 3M says Batman Forever and Mighty Morphin Power movies on the same day. I did not like that Power Rangers movie, but I've never been into Power Rangers. But if you watch that Val Kilmer documentary, he actually talks about, his time as Batman, and it actually kind of, he decided he didn't want to do, like, they wanted him to come back and be Batman again for the fourth movie, the George Clooney movie, and he basically refused. He didn't want to do it. And so he kind of got blackballed in Hollywood for not doing the next Batman movie. Now, that movie ended up being so horrible. I 100% think he made the right choice in not doing it, but that kind of hurt his career, at least according to him in that documentary. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Oh, god damn, I forget the name. It was damn, I forget the name of that movie, but yeah, I know what you're talking. The spoof movie, I know what you're talking about. I mean, George Clooney's a pretty solid actor, and Uma Thurman was a good actor. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger's, for the movies, I mean, it had a lot of good actors. That movie just ended up being horrible. Oh, you're right. I totally forgot about Willow. You're right. He wasn't. I don't know if Real Genius came out before Willow or Willow came out before Real Genius, but that was Top Secret. Yeah, that was the spoof movie. So yeah, I forgot all about Willow. I don't. Yeah, I think you're right. They're definitely rebooting Willow. I forget if it was a movie or a series, but I think it is a series. Am I happy with Keaton's Batman and joining the? I'll tell you after I watch the Flash movie. Now, Top Secret was not his first movie. Definitely not his first movie, but that was the spoof movie that he did. And The Saint, he did that movie The Saint, which was a remake of an old TV series, kind of like Mission Impossible. But that one ended. It was okay, but that movie bombed. Top. All right, I'm gonna look it up because I don't. So Top Secret came out in 1984. Oh, you're right. Real Genius came out in 1985. See when Willow came out. 88. I guess you're right. Top Secret was his first movie. I did not realize. I thought Real Genius came out before Top Secret. The U2 song, and I also like a Kiss from a Rose from the Grave from Seal. Those are my two favorite songs from that soundtrack. Oh, you would be amazed at what some of these actors and actresses pull in. It's crazy how much money they make from these things. I have not heard of anybody doing Willow stuff, but I won't say it's impossible, but nothing I've heard of at this time. I'm not even sure when the series is supposed to air, so I want to say at least not until next year. So maybe we'll hear something between now and then. Even with a series on Disney Plus, I don't see like getting a huge toy line, but I don't know who has the license to do those, so oh, you don't want to hear me sing. I am completely tone deaf. I love that song. It's always been one of my favorites. Yeah, supposedly because the chemistry between her and what's his face was not very good, so they cut her parts, is what they're saying. I did not like the first Aquaman movie that much, so I'm not. I can't say that I'm looking. I'm that excited about the second movie. And there's been rumors about Submariner for the MCU. I won't say them here, but apparently they're going to be making some changes to his character from the comics. I will be absolutely honest with you. I give absolute two shits about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. It's taking place like 40 minutes from where I live. I could probably go, sit out in front of the courthouse and watch them come out every day if I gave two shits, but I don't, and I've not paid any attention. I mean, my feeling is that both parties have wrongdoing in this. I see a lot of people trying to take one side or the other, and to me, I feel like both of them are to blame, but I personally could care less about that trial. Now, I will say that I saw some headline about doing another Pirates of the Caribbean with what's her face Harley Quinn. God, names are just flying out of my head, but you know who I'm talking about, the actress that plays Harley Quinn. So they're talking about bringing her in to star in a new Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and I'm like, first of all, that franchise is kind of, even with Johnny Depp in it, it's kind of, I felt like has run its course. But Johnny Depp made that character. Like him or hate him as an actor, he made that character. So if you're not going to use Johnny Depp for a Pirates of the Caribbean movie, then just let the franchise die. You don't need to do another movie and bring in some other actor to do it. Yeah, Margaret Robbie, yeah. So it's just like, this is a franchise that it's run its course already. But again, if you're not going to use the guy who created it, and I can even understand if you're not going to use him, I'm not going to sit here and argue and say, oh, well, they should be willing to give Johnny Depp another chance. But I'm saying if you're not going to use the guy who actually made that character what he is and made him why that franchise was as popular as it was, then just let the franchise die. Don't remake it with some new actress or actor or anybody else. Just let it die. It ran its course. It had a good run, had good movies, but it's done. But no, we're going to run it into the ground. We're going to try and find somebody else to play the character. I mean, I hate that. I hate when Hollywood does that. What's my favorite Johnny Depp movie? Probably Pirates of the Caribbean. Though, of course, I remember Johnny Depp from 21 Jump Street. I was a kid when that series came out. I mean, Johnny Depp plays like the same character in every. He's one of those actors where he basically plays the same character in every movie, whether it was Tonto in Lone Ranger or Pirates of the Caribbean or Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory. I mean, he always plays the same character. So Edward Scissor, I was never. I think I've seen that movie once, but I was never like a huge Edward Scissorhands fan. But that's probably the movie that. Oh, yep, Nightmare on Elm Street. He was in the first one. But Edward Scissorhands probably the name that put Johnny Depp on the map. All right, it's 8 o'clock. It's after 8 o'clock, so we've run a little bit long, but I think we're gonna wrap it up tonight. But I probably will be back with another live stream on Thursday, so we'll talk more then. Look for a news video tomorrow. But as always, guys, thanks for coming in tonight and chatting with me. I always love hearing you guys' thoughts. As always, stay safe out there. Have a great evening, and until next time, guys, I'll catch you later. Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News message boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.